They're just as bad because they call me.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. 6:03 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order. It's our January 2026 session of the Economic Development Commission. Before we really get started, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first roll call of the year.
Thank you. Chair Lawson,
Here.
Lisa Fry,
Here virtually.
there you are. Jacqueline Hunt,
Present.
Amy Gibson Grote,
Present.
Mike Aciardi here, and I will keep an eye out for David Amanor. I haven't seen him yet, and your ex officio tonight is Mayor Dumbrow.
Present.
Thank you.
Back to back. You just couldn't get enough last month.
I hope you guys do.
All right, has there been any public comments submitted ahead of time via email?
There has not.
Okay, we do have a couple guests this evening. Any public comment? No. I assume one of which is our applicant, which we will get to later this meeting. Thank you for being here. And then just observing, I presume, as well. So, well, thank you for being here. We're a lively group. Before we get into January items, we'll take a quick run through of December. We covered quite a few topics, a few of which were centered around what we'll talk about tonight. So the holiday event planning, we talked about kind of a passport style program that we'll follow up on tonight, and then kind of in prepping and planning for later this year.
I will foreshadow that I was unable to reach,
The change.
connect with, Cindy, so if that helps you share facilitation on planning.
Thank you. Gonna have to scrub the agenda here. No, thank you, Jacqueline. We also had a quick follow-up and kind of meet and greet with Healthy Sustainable Communities, a consultant who will be helping North Plains with some upcoming projects regarding existing and potential development of new businesses. And then we officially reviewed and approved and recommended to council to re-up Jacqueline's term on the EDC. That was approved unanimously. And then it actually went to city council last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks.
3 weeks ago. Yeah, on the 15th of December.
Oh, okay. And she was formally approved by city council.
She was.
And then our esteemed city manager, Bill Reed, provided a few different updates to us. Downtown Association, update on the EPA grant that the city has for the Glencoe Opportunity Area. Some developments surrounding the URA grant process, as well as some of the updates around the city joining the Washington County Chamber of Commerce before we adjourned. Any questions, go backs, items I might have missed here? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve December's meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Speak up, please.
Motion to approve.
I second that.
Thank you.
All right, all those in favor, and if we have it on the record, mics were off, so just want to make sure we,
And you can always say it was moved by member.
if mics are faulty, I will make sure to clarify that the motion to approve December's meeting minutes was moved by Jacqueline Hunt initially, and then seconded by our own Mike Aciardi. All those in favor of approving December's meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Okay, we have unanimous approval of December's meeting minutes, so we can roll into some of our new items for January. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope everyone had a safe and fun holiday. Not the best weather to go out and enjoy things with family, but we made it. The first order of business is more procedural. And we'll have a couple of those items here this month. So we'll be looking at nominating and electing a chair for 2026, as well as the vice chair for 2026. Full disclosure, I wanted to be transparent. I don't intend to vie for a nomination to be chair of the EDC in 2026. So I'd like to hopefully open it up to another member who might be able to act as chair. Anyone interested? We can have some further discussions here this evening too, if there's any questions or concerns around filling that position.
Are you wanting to step in?
From the chair position, the I am. We can have a family discussion about it.
I don't know if Lisa sees I'm looking at her.
Am I next in line? I don't know, maybe we should give some of our newer members an opportunity.
Please. I'll go one by one if we have to.
All right, if there's, I would say if there's really no one else interested, I am willing to I'm willing to submit my name,
Okay, fine.
Does that
but I don't want to take this opportunity from anyone else.
Amy, go kind of one by one. Any interest? No. Let the record reflect there's a shaking of the head. Understandable. Mike, any interest from?
I don't think I'm ready for that yet.
Okay. And then Jacqueline, anything? Hmm?
Vice chair?
When I can tell you mine.
Not even a vice?
One at a time. I think we're working on.
I'll take those, yes.
Yeah. So we'll just need a formal nomination from the EDC here for moving forward with a new chair.
I nominate Lisa Fry for chair.
Okay. I believe we just need a majority.
I don't think we technically need a second on this vote, but usually the boards do it just out of habit, so.
Okay.
If any of
I'll
you,
second that nomination.
there you go, see, but now we,
Okay, so all those in favor then of electing Lisa Fry as the chair for the EDC in 2026, say aye.
Hi.
Yeah. All those opposed, say nay.
unanimous.
All right, thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome, and I know why it was unanimous. You are welcome. I am willing to do it this year and to train up a vice chair to be able to take over next year.
Very good.
Unfortunately, our vice chair seemed to depart us at the end of this year, so I like that system, Lisa, so we can implement that. We should.
No, I don't want the vice chair to leave next year.
Yes, we'll avoid that. Okay, now nominating and electing a vice chair for this year, 2026. Any further interest? Amy, Mike?
What's the vice chair do in that one?
I would say pretty much what you're doing now, with some more involvement with some of the chair activities, as well as stepping in if the chair is unavailable to attend meetings, attend events outside of our regular sessions. Someone be, a backup for them.
You'll be the chair next year.
And trained to
Yes.
be entered into the training program, so.
I mean, if nobody else wants to do it, I guess I'll give it a shot.
Jacqueline, any interest? I'm gonna open it up to each team member here. All right,
Give it a shot then.
awesome. Well, I'll motion to nominate Mike Acuarty for our vice chair in 2026.
I'll second.
Sandy, all those in favor of nominating and electing Mike Acuarty for vice chair, say aye.
I
All those opposed, say nay. Excellent. All right, here we are. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you.
Should not have been that painful, but good job, you guys.
That's pretty fast.
I think so.
For a shuffling of the deck.
Uh-huh.
And I think I'll go on record that, I'll say my lack of interest is how it was asked, are you interested? Makes it appear like I am not, could be interpreted that way, but I assume that just means you both have, the authority to delegate to the rest of us, so, and we are willing recipients of that work. Those opportunities.
I think it means I can be a committee of one this year too.
Yeah, that's one of the perks. All right, we'll keep moving then to unfinished business.
But maybe just,
Yeah.
Lisa has taken on a whole bunch of tasks throughout the time, and Lisa, I want to be thoughtful that you're not the chair and the doer, and that we are agreeing and nominating you for the chair. That we have to take more accountability and activity from things you have done in the past.
I appreciate that. I think that is a great idea. And some of the things I've done have been external to this. It's just been somehow, somewhat tangential to this board. But I do think, having said that, just for future, I think it is probably good for us to revisit talking about our committees again this year and decide how we can divide up some of that work.
Right. Especially with some vacancies and things like that.
Yep.
As a point of order, now that it has been voted on and elected, she takes over the meeting right now
Oh, right now.
as the chair. This is
Wait
last
a
week.
minute. I wasn't prepared for this.
That's how it works. So you can put together,
Pass her the gavel.
yeah. But technically, yeah, would be the time when it transfers over, so. And I know it's a
Can I-
little more difficult with for being on Zoom, but you two can.
I know. Apologies for that.
Yeah.
We did not plan this out very well tonight.
No discussions were had outside of the meeting.
No,
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
No more than 3.
that's right. So,
But good.
Okay. So I take over going over the agenda now. Is that what we're saying?
Believe so.
yes,
All right. We're down to unfinished business. Is that where we are on the agenda, Eric? Is that correct?
Right. Yep.
All right. First item under unfinished business is the passport program follow-up and support. We talked about this last month and wanted to come back with some ideas and maybe some prep for meeting with the Chamber of Commerce and partnering with them. Jackie, as you mentioned, still probably some legwork that we need to do on that front. Is this something we want to table until next month, until we have a chance to connect with the chamber?
That's what I'd recommend. I tried to connect with Cindy and we just weren't able to make it happen over the holidays.
Mhm.
So I renewed my effort this week and suggest that we table it until I think we determined that having a substantive relationship with the Chamber of Commerce to co-facilitate this is gonna be important, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything to report.
Right, I agree. Any objections if we put this onto move this to the DA agenda for next month? And in the meantime, try to connect with Cindy in the chamber. All right, let's do that. Okay, I'm going to move on to item B then, the grant program expansion discussion. I've heard some rumors about this, but not a lot of details. Bill, is this something that you are going to walk us through?
Yes, so what I want to say up front is, I will basically apologize. Rowan has been burning the candle at both ends between zoning code update, other code update, planning, working on code enforcement, beginning of researching that, the UGB TGM grant, Public Advisory Committee recruitment process, and then some code enforcement. We haven't made a lot of progress on expanding the program ideas, but what Rowan has put together research on and just hasn't formalized kind of a prospectus of program ideas are the following. We are looking at substantiating a plan for a program that would be a grant program, a tenant improvement grant program, that would look a lot like how the new food service program works, except for it would target buildings and property owners or tenants that are in and this would be part of the discussion about how to define it, because we don't really have truly historically classified buildings, government classified buildings as historical. But a grant program to help property owners or building owners or businesses in those buildings, help them pay for some of the extraordinary costs of doing improvements to those buildings because of historical character, long time, depreciation on the building, maintenance has been avoided, delayed. And so it would really kind of target those kind of buildings. And it wouldn't have to be food service. It would just be helping with some of the costs of bringing that building up to quality to be some kind of business inside the building, business suitable for business. And if there's some kind of roof problems, or all this rain we've had some rain issues even in this building. But that would be the kind of program that it is, and so it would function very similar. Functionally speaking, application, qualifications, grant amount, if you're a resident, you get a slightly higher match rate. If you're in the downtown area, you get a slightly higher match rate, but that's where more historic buildings are anyway. So those sorts of things. And then the other program that Rowan's put a lot of information together based on other cities is Rowan's pulled together some information for us to be able to put together a redevelopment grant program through the URA, so that if a property owner, let's say a property owner wants to buy a building that happens to be at the corner of 311th and Commercial Street, and there are junk cars all over the place, and the property is torn up and muddy, and the building's in terrible shape. And that person says, oh, I might like to open a business there, but I don't fully understand what I might be getting myself into. And so we can have a grant program. It would be a smaller amount of money, probably along the lines of $5,000 to $6,000. If they qualify, we would have certain criteria for it. And that's really kind of the trick of the research that Rowan has been doing, is what are the criteria for this? And it varies from city to city, but North Plains would get to pick its own. But the bottom line is that a property owner or business could come in, apply for a grant, and that would pay for assistance of professional planning and engineering, just to kind of do some due diligence for them, so that they don't just buy the property and just find the costs that they end up realizing and the issues they have to deal with end up being 3 to 4 times what they originally budgeted for doing something. And I use a very real example, somebody who went through that process, and we did help them with a grant, a special one-time grant here recently, because of all the money they put into that property. at the gateway to downtown, and then the, kind of the right turn to get to Jesse Mays if you're coming from Commercial Street, left turn if you're coming from the west, of course. But we could have some resources available in the way of a grant for folks who might be looking at doing something with their building, buying a building, doing something with it, but demonstrating that they need some assistance and some due diligence so that we avoid some issues. So those are the two primary. Now it would be welcome and asked of you all, as you have looked at other other URA, all these U acronyms, other URA plans. If anything came up in your past research that indicated, oh, this city is doing that, or this city's URA is doing this, or they're doing that. We're not intentionally trying to be super narrow with things, but at the same time, it's public money and we need to kind of target things that end up realizing repair, refurbishment, or new construction. Because ultimately that's the mission the mission and the goals of the urban renewal plan and urban renewal planning in general. So I'm happy to hear about other ideas. Grant programs are pretty easy to set up because if we want to help somebody with this repair, or if we want to help this type of business with that sort of thing, 80% of the documentation that we need for the policy and the program is already done. It's just a matter of adapting to different things. So it's kind of up to you all to discuss, brainstorm, think about, and add any other ideas. But those seem to be the things that if we had in hand earlier on, and there are some businesses that in the future, certainly, we can anticipate very real grant applicants for those sorts of things. But again, we cannot, the URA cannot award a grant to help a business with operating costs or deficits. If a business is not performing well, we can't help with rent, we can't help with the utilities, that we can't help on the operating side. But if a business needs to do major repairs, or they're going to have to close because the building is, to help them retain them, we can potentially have a program to help with the building. If somebody is looking at buying a building and there's some cost inhibitive repairs or something involved, we can give assistance there, but it has to result in improvements we put in place, new or refurbishment. So I would put that to you.
So Bill, a question, it doesn't say this on the agenda, but this would be a specific grant program for URA properties within the URA.
It would have to be in the urban renewal district, yes. So basically the length of Glencoe Road in the city up to Commercial West Union intersection, and then most of the length of Commercial up to the Mills.
Chair, could I add to that, please? I'll take that as a yes.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, and so this is something Bill and I have talked about at great length. My request from council would be to think in a phased approach. If you guys have, if the board has an idea, or the commission, whatever, has an idea, but it's too big, maybe think about that as a longer term, and maybe we can add that as a program, and not yet, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, but a future program. Because the goal, I think the goal of council is how do we make North Plains, or how do we bring more businesses in North Plains? That's what I'm trying to say. So if you have an idea and it's like, well, that's too big, I've already had conversations with Stuart about long-term stuff. What if we did this? Would we, and Bill's talked about this, bringing in another URA in the future. So just because it's a big idea and we can't do it today, I would still rather you all bring it to us, because we need to think long-term in terms of economic development. And if it's something we need to go bug the state about, or the county commissioners, I'm meeting with Commissioner Treese, who's running for chair. So we'll have the ear of their ear as well. And a lot of their priorities are around economic development right now, because the county's struggling as well. So if we can find things where we might need to go get funding outside the URA, also bring those up, because if we don't ask, we don't know, right? So I'm just saying, don't just dream big and then let us tell you no. Please.
Bill, when are you thinking you would like this to us to bring the ideas back and discuss this at more at length?
There's a little bit of time here. I mean, so in the grand scheme of things, and we could talk more about, kind of what the urban renewal agency is going to be taking on in terms of some planning of its own, some work and planning of its own in the coming months. But as you recall, at your last meeting, John Lagarza of Healthy Sustainable Communities mentioned that he was working with me on a scope of work to kind of, take a look at the district, different properties in it, take a look at where, places, locations would make sense to figure out programs to target issues with properties, as well as identify what the lower hanging fruit might be for different sectors that we're not, he gets paid to identify the different industries or different sectors that are worthwhile, trying to figure out how to incentivize or, ease their ability to open and operate here from a physical facility building property standpoint. And so he's going to be, that effort will be going before long, starting before long, not immediately, but before long. And his results are going to kind of yield ideas for how the URA might want to assemble a package of programs. So I think you could begin discussing tonight. I think at your next meeting, in February, that would be with Rowan here presenting kind of, program documents. And then hearing about other types of programs after you or other ideas you have after hearing about, kind of getting the update from Rowan. I think you all can have a robust discussion about more different, what we might be missing. And then the other thing to keep in mind, and it's on the agenda, and I won't get into it too much, and that is that we seem to actually have a number of businesses or property owners in the downtown area. We might actually have a shot at getting a downtown association formed at this point. And the big question mark for that, and we'll talk more about it later, of course, is that if that gets established, that gets us into the state downtown association, and that opens the doors to a lot of different funding opportunities that might take the place of programs we would be thinking about doing with our own urban renewal money. All of a sudden, state money and grant programs are available because we have the downtown association that kind of is the gatekeeping to those funds. So that isn't to say that you all shouldn't think about programs and maybe some state money might replace that or do different things. It's just that's kind of a big new dimension once that downtown association gets established.
Question. Lisa, there's still a URA committee, and Lisa, are you still our representative to that group? Is that structure still in place?
Not right now, at least Bill, not that I know of. We talked about it last time about needing some representation from the EDC at some point this year, if I remember correctly.
Well, I guess kind of, I don't know that I heard the question asked, do we still have a subcommittee on urban renewal? There is no subcommittee anymore?
No.
Oh,
I'm city outside of us, we had a representative on a
Right.
URA committee.
So
Is that still active? I know that you're trying to form a downtown association. I'm trying to.
well, the downtown association, if it gets formed, will be its own independent thing, including independent of the chamber. it will be its own group of businesses and property owners who will advocate for themselves, can partner with the city, partner with the chamber, but it'll be its own thing. We're just trying to help facilitate, convene is what we're doing. But a time will come before long, and we'll hear more about this, on the URA side of things, but we have a consultant who is going to help set the stage for the URA updating its plan through a substantial amendment. We'll probably be ready to do that, and we'll hear more, and we have some work to do before then, but we're probably ready to seriously think about that in the spring, and like going out and finding a consultant and kicking something off late spring. And at that time, there will be a advisory committee for all of that established. And it will be, I would imagine, EDC would have representation on that. That's yet to be determined, but with all the research and work that you do on all this, I would think. We're not there yet discussing it, but I would think there would be some sort of representation, but that's in the future to be determined.
I think what I'm trying to absorb is what should we be spending our time on? And if we're hiring a consultant and investing heavily in that area, are we looking to administer a grant because there's money available now and we need to think about how to do that in a way that is equitable? And I don't recall what, we ended up supporting bishops with, but I certainly wouldn't want to say yes to some great program, but then have it, not be fair to other business owners who've been struggling through some of the same capital actions. So is that our role? We need to develop a structure to at least advise on grants.
I would say basically, yes, the current new tenant improvement program and any other program idea that bubbles up, including the ones that Rowan has already been researching and putting together. The EDC will continue to interview the applicant, ask questions, understand how committed and serious they are in order to understand accepting all this public money. We look forward to being a partner, but we want to better understand, how committed you are, that sort of thing. That's all part of the, you as the EDC are part of that process, yes. But I guess what I would say is before that, look into and think about and recommend any new incentive programs that you all, based on your work, feel appropriate for the URA, as well as for the city in general. And the city doesn't have a bunch of money to spend on incentives. But we can look into different things depending on what you all do. But for the URA specifically, we are welcoming new incentive program ideas, grant programs, what have you, low interest loans, no interest loans, whatever, that kind of are aimed at certain things. And it's, but we're looking for your recommendations because you all are the ones who have been studied on this stuff and continue to look at them. Does that answer your question?
I'm trying to understand the work before and after the consultant.
Well, so the consultant, he's going to focus more on identifying opportunities and whether it's properties and what could be done or should be done, and then what kind of opportunities in terms of business types the city doesn't have that might be feasible for the city to figure out a program to help target or incentivize that type of. But what he does is going to be kind of more speculative in that he's going to look at certain properties in the URA and say, yeah, you have, if those 3 properties there, if they were to be assembled, so if the URA were to buy all 3 of them and assemble them, that creates 2 acres. And that's a fantastic opportunity at that intersection to do something. That doesn't begin to get into whether the property owner is willing or, all that stuff. But his work will the most useful thing coming out of his work will be how do we need to think about the different properties in the URA whether it's the city buys them or we work with the property owners on a relationship to try to facilitate them doing something different with a program or what have you. But the value of him is, we just don't have a firm grasp, the URA does, on owner intent for the different properties. What physically might be suitable for the property. Those sorts of things. And so I don't think it would be wise for the city and for this body to wait around for his work. His work is going to identify, to do new programs, to come up with new programs. You all might come up with 2 or 3 new targeted programs that are great ideas that are still good after his work. But I wouldn't wait around, because whatever he identifies is going to take work from the city, whether it's finding that we should buy those properties or work with a property owner. Like, there's a lot of work after, based on what he does. And you all can have quicker, more immediate impact with new programs based on just coming up with those. We don't have to wait around for him. But we can supplement or tweak whatever happens with you all first, later on, based on whatever work he does. If that makes sense. I just wouldn't recommend waiting around. I think thinking about and workshopping and putting together some new incentive programs for the URA before that's even done isn't a bad thing. I mean, for all intents and purposes, the new food service grant program for North Plains has been successful from the city and URA's perspective, because we have seen buildings get built and we have seen businesses operate. Neither we nor the business owners can guarantee how successful they are. And it's unfortunate in a way that the URA can't get involved in the operations of those businesses. That's for, we can do things on our website to say where businesses are, and there's more news about that. But once it comes time to operate, at least the way things work for North Plains and what the URA can do and what the city can even do, we kind of mostly have to stop at the building, at the facility, and at the inside of the building. Does the city do a good enough job of then pointing the business to the different types of assistance? Probably not, but at the same time, that tends to be the realm of chamber, small business, blah, blah. That sort of thing. But what we can do pretty firmly is figure out programs that help get we don't have any new, there's very little retail space now available. I mean, the Vendays buildings are mostly full. Businesses are doing varying success in there, but the buildings are built, businesses are in. And there's work to try to figure out how better to promote them. But from a URA standpoint, for what the city and the URA can do, the program's been pretty successful, for seeing that buildings are built and businesses are in place operating with tenant improvements that they need. There's the scope of what the URA can do is only up to a certain point.
Well, I can think of potentially one idea, at least for our next meeting, if we think that we'll just be able to discuss this longer with Rowan, is maybe a challenge to each of us to come back with at least one idea of what maybe some other small cities in Oregon are doing in terms of incentivizing or helping businesses in their URA. Would you as a committee be open to that, or commission?
Yeah.
And then maybe at least we can have a brainstorm list together when the opportunity comes to start proposing some things.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Bill, we should plan on Rowan being in attendance next month to discuss this a little bit more.
Yes.
Okay.
Indeed. And then
All
one other program idea that was suggested by somebody, so it's worth mentioning, and maybe somebody can run with this. the murals on Commercial Street, this side of Main Street, were funded by the URA on the Van Dyke buildings. Um, a mural program could be rebooted. Some of the businesses around have done their own murals, like Bertonion, his building, and some other ones, but the URA could be involved in that. Besides of Sisters and Stuff. There'd be murals. And that's right at the gateway. So that's an option. That's something I didn't mention, but somebody did bring that up. It was the URA that did that, and that could be, my only personal note would be maybe different artists, maybe something a little more eclectic. I think one artist has kind of done almost all of them. And they're great, but could be a little more eclectic.
Could programs be focused on type of business? So if we wanted to focus on like anchor retail, it would be some type of incentive towards those specific businesses, as an example.
Yeah, we would need a former chair. We would need to, we would need to come up with figure out what the obstacles are to those types of businesses. Usually it's
Right.
parking for those types of business, usually parking, and then just the size of the property.
So it's not necessarily a program specifically targeted for a specific type of business. It would be targeting the challenges that those businesses would be facing.
Yeah, yes, it could be that. I mean, the current program we have has been restaurants.
Right.
Sit down and food
Food
service.
service.
That's very narrow. We don't have to be that narrow. And how you expressed it, programs that target certain obstacles is perhaps the wiser way to go, because then you're not so worried about this type of business. You're worried about obstacles that are common on different properties to whatever business might be located there.
Yeah. Okay.
You can do it that way too.
All right, anything else, or can we move on to item C that's closely related? Bill already mentioned the Downtown and Glencoe Corridor Business Associations update. And again, I know Rowan is pretty involved in this. Is this something you can give us an update on, or that we need to table?
I can give you a quick update. So
Okay.
Rowan put out an invitation for basically a doodle poll for, I want to say 15 different people, businesses, and individual kind of stakeholders downtown for next week and the following week, just to kind of nail down a 1-hour meeting time. And so we don't have the results of the doodle poll yet, but we're going to, Rowan participates to the extent that we're able to. We're a member of Oregon Main Street Association. We just aren't at a level of membership, like I said, that has access to applying for grant funds for different things. That requires the Downtown Association, but Rowan does have the resources and the ability to speak with the group to, hey, we already have bylaws for you. We just need a board that meets quarterly. Monthly would be great, but even just quarterly. So that we can just kind of get the ball rolling on being in the Main Street Association and applying for grants, and that state and even federal one for facade improvement, property improvement, a lot bigger grant money to help with really bigger things. But anyway, there's actually a meeting to get interest for a downtown association that's being planned either next week or the following, but that hasn't been determined. So we're moving forward. And as far as the Glencoe business group, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I don't know that Rowan has either. And Amy, if you know anything or if there's been any discussion, you have the floor on that one. You'd be the authority. Okay.
I think it was mentioned last month or the month before. And like the possibility of just combining those into a grander business association. But if it hasn't materialized at all, then
Specific,
yeah.
I recall about a Glencoe corridor business association.
It's funny you should mention because Chiropractic, I did talk to them, and they have an event on the 22nd with Cornelius Chamber at Peak, so if it's plug for that too, at 6 p.m., but also that might be somebody to talk to is Jasmine, the marketing director over Peak. Just a suggestion. Because she has talked her ear off about this topic, so I'm just trying to amplify the message.
Does Peak have more than one location?
I think the other one's in another state, but I can't remember.
Okay, but so. The thing they're having this month with the Cornelius Chamber.
So. Sorry, I don't want to get in trouble for not speaking into the microphone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, no, so the reason for that is I think they were kind of like passive members. And then after we had the ribbon cutting at La Loteria with Washington County Chamber, well, you know, Jasmine, she gets very motivated when she sees people show up to stuff. And so I think she suddenly became very passionate about the chamber. At least that was how I took the conversation we had, but I could have misunderstood, but I think that's what it is. And my suggestion to her was yes to all. Anything that drives more business in North Plains, yes. Like, and I'll, so that's why I'm trying to attend some of these events as well. So
It just seemed weird that Cornelius Chamber. is-
it's odd, it's either Forest Grove or Cornelius, one of those. It seemed odd to me, but I said, well, yes, because I asked Bill kind of a little bit about the chambers, and his thing was more is better. So that's my response to everybody, is more is better, until Bill corrects me.
More eyeballs, more wallets.
Yeah, as I just keep repeating that mantra. I mean, honestly, that's why I keep telling every business I talk to them, like, just get more engagement. And then we'll figure out what works, and then you're not.
I wrote the flyer in my email. It's the base Chamber of Commerce and the Forest Grove Cornelius Commerce. She officially invited me today.
Yeah, Forest Grove and Cornelius. I thought their chamber was.
Oh,
Yeah,
one,
put together.
So.
we're figuring it out. Thanks.
And as I said, I am going to try to attend that meeting that Rowan puts together when they come up with a date, to at least be some ears for the EDC. So maybe, Jackie, in a way, if there's an opportunity, I would love to contribute from the EDC perspective on that, if they do get some momentum to organize the downtown association. But I don't know if others are able to attend, but if I'm able to attend, I will definitely bring some information back from that meeting. All right, so maybe more to come, Bill, after that meeting happens with the downtown, with the businesses. Anything else on those three items before we move on to our application for our vacancy? All right, let's move on to our applicant for the evening. And I'm sorry I'm not there. Usually we have our applicants come to the table one at a time and introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about them, and then we get to ask some questions. So if you wouldn't mind coming and sitting at the table.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, you can sit
Yeah.
here where there's a microphone that works. Would be great.
Here.
That microphone, yeah.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anis Zaman. I'm a PhD candidate in Public Affairs and Policy at Hatfield School of Government, Portland State University. I moved in North Plains in 2022. And since then I'm living and loving this city. Thank you.
How is school going?
Which one?
How is school?
It's good.
Yeah, is it?
It's good.
Yeah, keeps you busy?
Yeah.
Good.
But I'm towards the end of it, so.
Good. How do you think, once you wrap up, how do you think that'll help, serve both this commission as well as just the city in general? It seems like a very appropriate degree, so.
Yeah, that was my thought, that motivated me to apply for the for this commission. Uh, yeah, from beside my academic, field, I also work with Oregon Health Authority around the year to develop their, next, long-term policy, mental health, revision, they are initiating a policy for the next 10 years. I also work with, Sunrise Water Authority, Happy Valley City, to develop their equity policy. So I think that I'll be able to contribute to this commission with my policy analysis skill, policy evaluation, policy process, and kind of a lot of things I did is to the best practice analysis, learning from other cities. As I understand that North Plains is facing, to my understanding, is facing challenges in two levels. At surface level and also the deeper level. At surface level, I see the challenges of like from two point of view. One is from the city council and the administration. The challenge is is the financial management, how to manage the budget with the limited revenue that generates from the city. Because not much of the business there, mostly like the reliance is on the home taxes. So that is one thing, and that is not truly not felt by all the citizens, all the residents here, because they don't go through the process every day. They don't face it. But what they face is daily issues. Like they have a problem with the grocery, they have a problem with the childcare, they have a problem with like having most of the commute, like this 26-mile commute, like for anything you need to go out of the city to buy something or to get some service. So I think that are the two surface level, and the deeper level challenge I see is the bringing all the stakeholders and the residents for a comprehensive economic development. Because without that, like the city is going to face problem in coming days, because it's a growing city. It has grown, the population has grown almost double in the last 10, 12 years. So it will have rapid growth in coming years also. So long the big companies, tech companies are here, more number of people will be coming, and the city offer kind of calm, quiet environment, so that attracts more of the population. But then they need to survive, they need to get their services every day. So from that perspective, I feel that as a responsible citizen, I should contribute with my experiences to the city. And among these, I felt that economic development commission is one of the important one that can bring a lot of changes for the city, a lot of positive impact on the city, on the life of the resident.
Thank you.
That's why taking a long time.
No,
long
that's great.
time.
Yeah. Sorry, Jacqueline, were you gonna say something?
I was gonna ask about what you've been doing since 22 and your other professional work, but you addressed that, and probably if you and I sat down, we'd find some OHA colleagues in common. So thank you for actually expounding. That was really helpful.
Thank
And it helps me see how you could contribute.
you so much.
Any other questions from the commission members?
I have a question. So what businesses, services, and amenities do you think would be the most helpful to North Plains?
I think when I see the financial challenges, I feel that like there are two things is required, like the innovation in the city to meet the challenges. One is to utilize the existing spaces, the commercial spaces, because it may not be always possible to bring everyone in a common consensus to go for a expansion or something. But what we can do at our conference is to like do the innovation utilization. Like if we've been a crowded city already, like what do we do? How much space would we offer for business? So we may think of that perspective. And another one is like, what kind of business we bring in here? Like we can have it like lot of illusion to that, like what are the needs of the resident. The residents' daily needs are like grocery, daycare, education related, wellness services, all those things. That is one thing. Another thing, which kind of service will generate more revenue? Because if we have limited space, like what kind of service you can bring here that will generate more revenues? And like, we also need to think that we are located beside a big city like Hillsborough. So like, things are already there, like what new things, something should be new and unique to the city. That will attract the people from Hillsborough to move to that place, right, to get the service. Not that we commute every day there, they should commute.
That's that excellent point.
Any other questions?
Yeah, how have you been able to plug in so far in your 3 years here to understand what's going on in the city? What's been your avenues to get a window in to understand you talked really, clearly about the different perspectives?
Yeah, mostly, I meet with the people whenever I go. I come to downtown, I get to different shops, sit there, have coffee and talk to people. Like, because I'm new to the community and I need to understand the community better, because my children will be going here and we love the city here because we choose this city to come here and make our home. So that is one thing. And another thing was like this kind of desktop review sort of thing. So I was going through the city website, seeing what is the development of the city, who became the new mayor, what is happening. So like all the changes. So I saw that like already the commission has taken a lot of initiatives to meet the challenges regarding the growth. So all those things as I'm interested in policy, I was inclined to do that. So that was one of the avenue to like learn about that one, besides talking to people.
All right, I'm going to ask one more question. You talked a little bit some of the services coming to the city that would be good for the city. Any thoughts on how you think we can, as a committee, support existing businesses that are here?
Yeah, I think the best way is to the starting point should be to like having a good communication with them and understand their challenges. Like, what is their present challenge and what are the challenges for their expansion? Because they are already the investor. They might have the capacity to invest more. Somebody may not be able to invest, but having the willingness. So I think a best approach should be to listen to them and try to understand like what are the barriers they are having to expand their business. So that's the fastest step I suggest that we can do that. Thank you.
So sounds like a good supporter of our survey. Anything else committee members want to, or commission members would like to ask?
Nothing for me.
All right. Okay, former chair and Lori, can you remind me of the process and what we do at this point?
We'll need a motion to essentially take forward the applicant, whether approve or deny the applicant, to take forward to city council for their final approval.
As a recommendation, you're making a recommendation to city council to approve placement on your commission.
All right. Is there a motion to take forward the application of Anis? Is that right? Forward
Right.
to the city councilor, to the city council as a new commission member.
Anis or Anis?
Anis.
Anis?
And
Any.
Anis.
Yeah, still both.
Like the site?
It's a up,
Right,
then this.
Anis.
Anis.
Okay. Well, yeah, like, thank you for being here. I appreciate your time. I think just your education, your background, you seem to be well connected to everything that's going on within the city. like personally, I really respect anyone who is even pursuing a PhD. It's just so much. Yeah. So yeah, I'd like to make a motion to recommend Anis to city council to fill our vacancy on the EDC. Jacqueline seconded. Lisa, if you.
Oh, thank you. I did not hear that. All right.
She's so quiet.
All right, so we have a second. So now as a committee, we need to take a vote. All of those in favor of making a recommendation for Anis to take forward as a recommendation to the city council. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay. All right, excellent. Okay, and Lori, remind of the process. So I think now the recommendation will go forward at the next city council. Is that right?
It will, which is Tuesday, January 20th, because Monday, the 19th is a holiday. We encourage you to attend that, even though they got a chance to meet you on Monday night. It's always nice in case they have their questions about why you want to be on this board, and they will make their decision that night, and then
Right. Excellent. Thank you so much for applying and being willing to volunteer. As you know, we're all volunteers and it takes a lot to keep these commissions running. So really appreciate you being here tonight and volunteering for this position.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. Thank you.
And you're welcome to stay and listen to it. I think we just have one more topic up to you. So I think, Bill, our last topic is just talking about guest speakers for 2026 and planning. And I know we discussed this a little bit last time that we're supposed to come with maybe some thoughts on what kind of speakers we would like to invite this next year.
Yeah, that's correct, Chair. I would love to hear topics of interest where my expertise or experience or information would be of value to you. Unless you know a particular speaker specifically. Otherwise, I'm looking for topics and then I can nail somebody down who can come chat with you.
I'll kind of like lead us off. I started thinking more internally. I think it would be beneficial for the EDC to be better connected with the city. So like Rowan will be here next month already, but our new planning manager, anyone else, within city staff or even other boards and commissions, coming to speak on what they're working on and how we might have some, forgive me, synergies on working together with the city and other groups. So like Rowan will be a great start and we can.
No, I think that's a great idea.
All right. I know we've heard this and talked about this a lot, but maybe someone, we had Teresa, I guess, come, but maybe if we know anyone who is an expert on marketing and how cities market their small businesses. We started talking about it, but it would be great to get a little more input from how either cities or organizations are using social media actively or other things to help promote their small businesses.
Chair, thank you. That brings up that I've had a conversation with the executive director of the Columbia Pacific Economic District, which we're a member of, Colpac, Sarah Lou Heath, and she can be available to come and speak to that. She'd be a great person, at least to kick off kind of more expertise speaking about this, because she works with different cities that have figured out or figuring out how cities can have a role in this. Like the scope of what the city as a government entity can do is kind of limited. You have to have partners like a chamber or a community college or a port district. We don't really have that, but she is open to coming and speaking and kind of talking about different models and how Colpac can be a part of kind of building a model or kind of or kind of figuring out how the city can better piece together with the downtown association, with the chamber, or with whatever partners, knowing what the city can and can't even do. And so, let's definitely put her on the list. I don't know when, but I mean, I can figure out what her schedule's like and see what might work out for her. But I would encourage you all to be enthused about her coming and speaking. She did apply Colpack did apply for a grant with Business Oregon to figure out kind of a pilot framework for partnerships in downtown North Plains. It was kind of an unorthodox application. They didn't get it. But they tried, and they actually put together a lot of information, so she's kind of already staged, and they're very interested in working with North Plains. So that should definitely be on the schedule.
I was gonna suggest also, Jasmine at Peak would probably love to come and share, because does a lot of this. And she'd probably be excited because this is her passion, so that was just my suggestion.
Great idea. Other thoughts? This may be more for the larger city, but I would love to hear from someone from another city who is part of a URA and about some of the things they've done to promote and support businesses. But maybe that's for a wider audience, even beyond us. If you know anyone, Bill.
Will be your EDC meeting that night.
To that point, are there other cities our size that have economic development commissions as well, like ours?
Most cities do have some kind of body. Not all of them, but I mean, we didn't model this after anything in particular, but I'm kind of, to be honest, in looking for examples of bylaws for you last year, the year before. There are a lot of examples, even for smaller cities, because they exist. With varying charges. I mean, Banks has one. Many do.
I'm happy to put it out on the listserv if you want, to the other mayors, to see who has, they get the name of the chairs, if it'll help you all.
Be interesting to potentially talk to, have one of them come to probably run there.
Cornelius has one, with 2 vacancies right now.
Good.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Cause it's always nice to get somebody that's kind of close by that.
Yeah.
Can relate to us and.
We can do that. I am a former charter member of that agency.
So it sounds like you're volunteering to recruit someone to come speak to us.
Yeah, no, that's no big deal, dude. That's a certainty.
Wow, they have 15 members on their ABC board.
In where?
And Cornelius, and only 2 vacancies.
Like half the population.
No, they're growing, but.
Actually, that would be interesting. Sorry, so I had a meeting with Mayor Dolan, and actually that would be an interesting one to bring in to talk to you all, because they're struggling with the same, well, not quite as bad, but the similar lack of commercial and industrial land and overgrowth of residential. So they may actually have more input than others. That'd be interesting.
And that's Cornelius that you're saying has the same challenge?
Yes.
Yeah. So I talked to Mayor Dolan about, well, I just asked him for advice, and he kind of opened up a lot and taught me a lot of stuff about the challenges they're going through.
Are there any other cities you want me to check on, since I've got it right here?
Is Banks have one? Or how big is Banks?
Banks has one. Let me throw out a shocking recommendation, but it could be done. So the city of Hillsborough downtown program liaison in the community development department, Carla Antonini, which I'm sure she would be happy to come and talk about things from the city perspective. She did help establish their downtown association. Took a while, but it went from, I don't know, I moved to Hillsborough in 2002 when I moved there, and it was nothing but antique shops and the drugstore. And this changed dramatically in that really accelerated with them having the Tuesday night market and training people to go downtown, the Saturday market, but then the Tuesday night market. And then the downtown association they established to kind of get businesses jazzed and invested in doing things. And so she can kind of talk about a number of things regarding that, and they've had successes, and you can kind of see the back end of, her perspective on that, if that's of interest too.
Also, if I could put in a plug, there might be somebody at the Washington County Chamber just named to the Director of Hispanic Business Development, who might happen to sit on our Parks Board, who might have a lot of good ideas to share with all of you. I'm just throwing it out that she would probably love it, and she is a wealth of information, and I can barely keep up when she starts giving me ideas, so.
Smart lady that's on top of a lot of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, the bank's EDC has 9 members. And they have a URA as well.
Banks just did their renewal too.
Hmm.
They have the full. Yeah, because Elaine was there.
Oh, they don't have any. The newest meetings for agendas and minutes for their EDC is 2022, although it says.
Well, if you want, I mean, I'm meeting with the mayor Saturday, on an unrelated topic, so I can ask her. If y'all are interested, I'll just ask her, and I can connect up with Lisa.
Mm-hmm. All right, Bill, is that a good list to get us going for the start of the year?
A few years.
Yeah, I know. And we know we've got Rowan for next time already. But I think, we came up with.
Meeting tonight right now as well.
We'll just have a joint session.
Yeah, and please continue to, where to find us. So if you have other ideas, let us know. We won't be able to, we'll be scheduling, we would have to schedule out. So if another idea comes in and somebody can come in sooner or what have you, we can work with that. So, but please continue to send in ideas.
Okay, I'm trying to keep up the reputation that the former chairman established for the timing of this committee. So any other closing remarks? And of course, let's go to our ex officio. Mayor, anything that you would like to leave with us, or any things you would like us to focus on and work on over the next month or two?
Just some questions that came up in various meetings. Number one, and so when I throw stuff out, it doesn't mean it's a fully baked idea, so just take it with a grain of salt, and I have not got Bill's approval, so I may get yelled at later, but in all seriousness, from an economic development perspective, what would it mean if we had broadband that wasn't Comcast? And I say that tongue in cheek, but it's true. That's one question I want you all to consider and just think about in general. I was speaking with a Senate district candidate for District 16, and the suggestion came up that maybe for engagement, consider using SMS gateways like texting and shorter surveys. So I just thought I would throw that out. It's an interesting concept and it's not very expensive. It's worked well in Clatsop County. And then the other question I wanted you all to consider is, it keeps coming back to me that North Plains is not the easiest place to start a business, which I thought it was easy because I did, but I also do it. It's home base, so it's easier. Why? That's what I'm trying to get people to think about, is why, and what can we as council and EDC and planning commission and city staff do to either remove to correct the perception, or to fix, if there is a problem, to fix it. So these are just things I would like you all to consider, because I want to challenge everybody to think like a business owner. Like, this is your business, so how do we solve this problem? And I don't particularly have the answer, but I just thought I would throw those questions out to you because I think there's a possibility. And I guess the last thing I'll say is please, 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 programs. I know we're bringing the consultant, but this is ideally as fast as we can go and as fast as Bill is comfortable. I want to make stuff happen with URA because I think it helps all the businesses, which helps all the residents, in my opinion. So that's the word from council is please give us your best recommendations so that we can enable business, I guess. And thank you for having me. This is one of my favorite meetings.
It's great to have you. And we don't have to get into it tonight, but one of my follow-up questions would be, we haven't quite got our survey out there yet. What are the ways we can find out what you're hearing about why it's hard to start businesses in North Plains?
I haven't actually gotten to the bottom of that. That's why it keeps coming up. I need to go ask a couple more people. I have a sneaking suspicion some of it has to do with just, code, which is what the planning commission is working on. But I'm still trying to understand because I keep hearing this second, third hand, and I'm just trying to get to the bottom of tell me more. Like that's my usual question is tell me more about that. Because I don't know if it's perception or if it's a reality. So I guess that's where I'm stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hear it, if you're getting that feedback, then let's understand why. I know businesses are struggling, but I think that's a statewide and a national problem. So I don't really know to answer your question, but I'll work on that. I'll come back to you all with what I can determine.
Okay. Yeah, and having some concrete examples of why it was hard for various businesses would be helpful. All right, thank you. I put these on the list. We will revisit these. I promise these items, including our passport program that maybe isn't a grant right away, but hopefully at least something to help small businesses. All right, anything else as former chairman would say, words of wisdom, closing remarks?
I had something maybe to talk about next month. I was at Kim's the other day and I saw this big gang of cyclists all outside going in buying snacks and all this and that. And I used to love to cycle the Springwater Trail in Portland. Has there ever been talk of turning North Plains into sort of a cycling destination?
It was on the path before COVID. One of the counselors, avid bicyclist, Ricky Smith, started a big bicycle group and we had our information on flyers for bicycle groups and stuff, and along came COVID.
If I could just ask one quick follow-up that I'd like you to consider, because this came up in a separate conversation with somebody. How does that drive business revenue other than just people stopping and getting snacks? If you can give me more concrete data, I'm supportive because I love cycling, and it supports population health, which I love, but I'm unclear on if we could identify what type of revenue that would bring in and roughly, we don't have to be exact, but we kind of could project what we thought it would help bring in. I think that would be helpful if we have to free up funding for development, and then we can take it to planning commission and say, hey, how can we make this work from a code? So that would be my challenge back is yes, but show me dollars if you can. And if not, then how do we get there? How do we develop businesses so we can get there a different way? Because it's not a no, it's just how do we, what's the path to get there is my suggestion.
And I'm going to add one idea when we ask the bank's rep to come in is to talk about how cycling impacts their town. I would really like to know that. Good or bad, but also the revenue aspect. They have a lot of cyclists.
There have to be.
All right, sounds Mike, you've got an assignment.
And we had bicycle events. There used to be one that went along with the Garlic Festival. It got a bit convoluted because there was also a run, a marathon type thing, so road closures and county involvement and a lot of different entities had to be involved, and again, COVID came along and it kind of changed everything. I know that the run is still happens. It's in a kind of little bit of a different form because the running group, whatever it was, all their board members left due to distension in the ranks or something, I don't know, anyway, and so someone else stepped in, and so there were some changes. But I believe I don't know, did they do it this year, the run?
Yeah, they moved it to a different Saturday than the Garlic Fest because of logistics.
Yeah, so, but in the past, there's been a bicycle event that went with the Garlic Festival that went up in the hills and stuff, and so it's been done. I don't know who you would contact to get it back up and going and how the Garlic Festival's gotten so huge, over the last, even just the last few years since it restarted, that it would take some definite, intense planning for road closures and county involvement for an event like that, but it has been done. So.
All right, sounds like we all have some assignments over the next month to come back with some information.
I mean, interesting question, and then, so we have a new resident of town who is, showed up at one of the UGB neighborhood meetings. And he has applied to be on the UGB advisory committee, just an at-large resident. Anyway, his application, he's the former owner of the now closed Bethany Bike Shop, and he very specifically is interested in exploring this. So whether he ends up being here at some point, or you'll hear that, he'll probably hear more about that, so.
Feels like a grant program waiting to happen.
Well, they're already coming, I mean, they're already here, it wouldn't really take much infrastructure, just be maybe advertising it, I mean, I've always thought it was kind of dangerous to go along those roads that have no shoulder, but they're coming anyway, so.
Yeah.
Maybe a way to encourage more of them, and.
I think the big thing is identifying, and there's been studies done about this. I mean, the county did a big unincorporated Washington County Economic Development and Tourism study to just kind of see what's out there. And yeah, this is tons of people bike. I think the issue is better understanding what their spending patterns are. What are they doing before they get here? Are they just looking for a place to have beer? What are they looking to spend their money on after the ride before they leave town? And then when you better understand that, then you can take advantage of it.
I was actually shocked to learn that, and part of why I brought this up was my son got off the bus and he dropped his phone. And the cyclist who was coming through picked it up. When I finally tracked him down to get the phone back, the dude lives in Vancouver. And he goes, and his whole group, big group, they go over to St. John's, they go up into Germantown, I mean, so they're coming from way long distances just to get around here, I kind of thought.
And that's how we've ended up in, like I said, in brochures and stuff, because a lot of them park here at the park, which is another issue during the summer because it takes away from residential, people with their families. But we have bike station, a couple different ones in town with, on commercial and they could actually park there too. And I think at one point, even Bertoni's, wine place down there was kind of one of the stops. So yeah, it's well known. North Plains is well known as a stopping place, especially now that Banks has their big bike community thing going on up there, so.
When we were first opening, someone came in and very much talked about being a destination spot. Hey, but will you sponsor us and we can bring everybody by as we're passing through? So it was asking for a sponsorship, but at the same time, that was saying it would be giving back by bringing everybody to our shop as they congregated at some point.
So let's put on the list a speaker that can speak to this, because I know Banks has been involved in planning for this, because they're not only the Banks Vernonia Trail terminus, but they will also be the point of beginning for the Salmonberry Trail when it's all done. So you'll be able to bike to the coast and back on the Salmonberry Trail, which is just another recovered rail line. And so We can figure out, maybe we'll talk about that too.
Okay, good. Yes, please add that to our list. I noted it as well. All right, anything else before we adjourn for the night? Okay, thank you, everyone. We will officially adjourn at 7:28 p.m. Thanks, everyone, and I will hopefully be there in person next month.
Thanks, Lisa.
All right, night.